At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, welcome everybody. Let's do this. I do not know. This week's going to be a little bit crazy. It's always crazy here, but this week a little bit different. So I'll get into that. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to do so now, or even if you're watching this stream after the fact. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Oh God, I hope my hair looks good. Okay, what's going on? I'm gonna give you guys an update. First, shout out to Patreon supporters. You guys know I say this every time. I'm not here without you guys. The new Patreon folks and the old. Thank you guys so much. And of course, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company, the show's sponsor. Again, another huge reason why I'm able to do what I'm able to do. They offer same-day services, emergency service 24/7, 365 days a year, free estimates, quality parts, affordable outcomes, hundreds of 5-star reviews, better than best results. Give them a call today at 501-244-3667. Again, that's 501-244-3667. Was that Sunday? You guys like that? Is that no? Throw it away or keep it. You tell me. All right, so let me give you an update. The Hudson household has been hit with COVID. This is a first since COVID began. So that's going to have an impact on how I'm able to get content out to you guys. It's part of the reason why I'm a little late today. I'm not real. Well, okay, I'll say it. I don't think she'll mind. My wife got COVID. So that, and the reason why I'm saying that is because that forced me onto the couch last night, and it was COVID, not for any other reason. While I was on the couch, did not sleep worth a damn. In fact, did not sleep last night. I ended up sleeping in today. My kids are supposed to go to camp this week, and next week they cannot. The camp War Eagle here in Springdale said, nope, got to keep them home. They're going to have to skip these 2 weeks. I feel horrible for my kids about that, So far, my wife's the only one that has it, although today I did wake up eventually not feeling real good. As a matter of fact, when I'm done here, I'm going to take this bad boy. I'm going to take a COVID test. No idea if I have it. So that is obviously going to have an impact. My wife will, she's being told she's going to have to work from home. Thankfully, she has this studio room at her disposal. And so that's, I don't know. Hogville content, I have no idea how I'm going to get that out this week. I'm sure I'll find a way to make it work. May have to burn the midnight oil, but that's just the update, okay? Part of the reason why I'm late tonight, I have no idea how many live streams I'm going to be able to do. They may be 10 o'clock at night. I don't know, but I'm going to try my best to get you guys, the content, right? So, all right, we're all caught up there, okay? I'm fine. Wife is fine. She's been a little lightheaded. I woke up groggy, feeling still got a headache. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of feel like my head's in a C-clamp, but I popped some ibuprofen. I'm drinking my my low-sugar Monster Rehab, which this is my preferred. If I'm going to drink one of these, this is what I'll drink. And so hopefully, ate a great dinner. So I'm got a little bit of energy. So I'm going to do this. We're going to get caught up on recruiting. In the title, it's grading the 2023 class. I'm going to try and go into a little bit of depth, the good and the bad so far in this class. Again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask away involving Razorback sports. Or, whatever. If you have questions about what can we expect on Hogville Net YouTube this week, Ty, I'll just tell you now. I don't know. We're going to have to Otis Kirk has been busting his ass. I was going to try and set up a recording with him today, but that was not able to happen. He's going to get us caught up because there's still so much more going on with recruiting. They're definitely not done. And I told you guys last week, expect a great weekend. Expect some commits to happen. They happened. If you are Patreon subscribers and you're in our Discord, go check the Patreon member page. We have a pretty big update over there about a particular prospect. So go check that out. Again, I know the whole idea of you guys being Patreon members is just to support the page. So the way I'm trying to pay you back is giving you some more insider stuff on that Patreon member page. So I do have, and I may have more coming for you. Hopefully by the end of this week. What is today's date? Today's the 27th. So, possibly by the end of this week, maybe going into next week. Arkansas, it's not over. I'll just say that. So, All right. Sup, Ty? Hope you're feeling better. Yeah, like I said, I'm popped up full of ibuprofen and Monster Tea energy drink here. Ole Miss winning makes me sick to my stomach. Yeah, it sucks. Had you told me 2 years ago, or even after the foul ball, the infamous foul ball, against Oregon State, to win the whole damn thing right there. Even after that, had you told me Mississippi State and Ole Miss are both going to win in the next few years before Arkansas does, I wouldn't have been completely shocked because those are two really good baseball programs. We do tend to do this thing, and I don't know why we do it, but we judge a program, no matter the sport, based on how good they are in football. Have you guys noticed that? I used to do it, and I caught myself doing it, and it was like, wait, this is baseball. This is an entirely different sport. Those Mississippi schools, both of them, are legitimate, solid programs, and you could say that before they won their first titles. Those are their first titles. The question has been, will Dave Van Horn ever win will he bring home the hardware from Omaha? Now, I put that question up. As a matter of fact, I'm glad let's just go revisit it. I put that poll up. Where are we at on that? There's 200-something votes, quite a few votes. Will Dave Van Horn ever win it all in Omaha for the Razorbacks? 31% of over 300 voters said no. I'm not going to lie. I thought it would be a little bit higher. Almost 70% say yes. So go take that poll if you want to be represented in one way or another, or go comment on it, whatever. But it's on the community page on Tuss Talk with Ty. 300 plus votes, and 31% still a pretty high number. Now, I don't think if you vote no that means you don't think Dave Van Horn is an elite coach, because elite coaches, again, funny story. My dad was listening to one of my live shows. I don't know if he's in here listening, but he said, I made a comment about Florida State never winning a national title, and he said, nope. He said, well, I was listening to you talk, and I said, that's wrong. I'm pretty sure they have at least one or two. He looked it up. Actually, I looked it up, showed it, sent it to him, and he saw it, and he couldn't believe it. His jaw hit the floor. I heard it over the phone. I heard it hit the floor. It was like, bah! It's like, I told you, Dad. 22 visits to Omaha. Coach Martin. Is it? I always want to say Frank Martin. Matt? No. Mark? No. That's NASCAR driver from Batesville. The hell's his first name? Something Martin. It's slipping my mind. I think his son took over, and then they just recently fired his son, if I'm not mistaken. But Florida State was considered an elite baseball program, and they have double the amount of College World Series appearances that Arkansas does. And at a time when the ACC was considered one of the best baseball conferences, still are, I think, one of the top three. And he won. I mean, that guy was very competitive in that conference, and they never won one. They've still yet to ever win one. So Dave Van Horn is still an elite coach. I don't think if you vote no that means you say otherwise about Dave Van Horn. I want to make this I told my dad I would never say this on the live stream, and I feel like I did this with Mike Anderson shortly before he was let go. I said Mike Anderson will never get by the second round of the NCAA tournament. Does not mean what he did at Arkansas should be less valued. I don't know, and the more I think about it, and I know I've said otherwise, but the more I think about it, I'm not sure. I'll say it. I don't think Dave Van Horn ever wins a title at Arkansas. I just don't. That doesn't mean I think less of him, of his players, of his staff, of the program that Arkansas baseball is. I think it's a blue-collar program. I just think we underestimate how damn hard it is to win in Omaha. There are several other programs with 5, 6, 7, 8 College World Series appearances and have never even played for a final. Dave Van Horn's been able to do it once. You kind of think that might have been his shot. I do think they're going to be good. Look, I think every year and I don't think it's impossible. I'm not saying, it's 100% never going to happen. I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like it ever will with Dave Van Horn. But I think he's going to continue to have the expectation every year that they are an Omaha caliber team. Look, they could have a clear wipe next year when you're talking about the defense. We talk about the changes they're going to have to make. And I don't know where the Stovall hitting the portal rumor stuff started, but he had to come out and say on radio that he wasn't hitting the portal. Where did that come from? Who started that rumor? And please don't tell me it was one of these Razorback Twitter celebrities or whatever they call themselves. Like, tell me they didn't start that rumor, because that was bizarre to me. That came out of nowhere, and then I saw where he went on the radio and he was like, no, I'm staying here for the next 2 years. I have no plans, or in the foreseeable future, he has no plans of transferring. But Dave Van Horn's going to continue to be a great coach. Arkansas baseball is an elite baseball program that just may never, in the next several years. I'm also saying this too because I don't know how much longer Dave Van Horn's going to coach. I really don't. And he's kind of been the same guy for the last 20 years. He's not real excitable when he's talking to the media. You might see a chuckle. He reminds me of Nolan Ryan. If you remember him, for any of you, if you've ever seen his video when, I forgot the name of the batter that charged the mound, and he just grabs the guy in a headlock and he socks him about 6 times. Great pitcher, threw hard. There's a documentary coming out about Nolan Ryan, but very not real. He's just real low key. And I think a lot of baseball guys are like that. Dave Van Horn is absolutely that way. I just don't know how much longer he's going to coach. Now, if I knew for a fact he's going to coach here for another 8 to 10 years, I might change my mind on that. But I don't know. He's had some great talent. He's been loaded up with some solid talent, some of the best in the SEC. I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's real likely. I mean, he's come so close, and yet, again, I was having this conversation with another group of friends. I said, it's something about Omaha. When you get there, you just have to find – there's something that these teams find when they get to Omaha, and Dave Van Horn just struggles to find it. Whatever that it factor is. Ole Miss was not the best team in the SEC. They were middle of the pack, barely got into the postseason play. I mean, Arkansas took 2 out of 3, and Arkansas not playing their best ball at the time. I think Arkansas has more talent than Ole Miss. I think Oklahoma honestly might have a little bit more talent than both these teams, but I think Arkansas could have beaten Oklahoma. A&M was obviously better than Arkansas this year. They ended up taking the SEC West, but I mean, Arkansas still, they lasted a little bit longer than A&M, but Ole Miss just found it. They just found it in Omaha, and some teams do, some teams don't. Some teams find it in the tournament. The regionals or the super regionals, they just catch fire. Their bullpen is unbelievable. Their starting pitching is unbelievable. They're hitting everything. They're manufacturing runs. The timely hitting, clutch hitting. It just all comes together. And Ole Miss was that team this year. I think it's interesting. D1 baseball puts out their final top 25. Arkansas ends up 4th. I think Arkansas realistically should have been 2nd, but they didn't play for it all, so they're not there. More wins than the 3 teams in front of them. That just goes to show you what you do in the regular season just almost doesn't matter anymore. Just get into the tournament and figure out what you are, or whatever it is you haven't been good at, find it in the regionals, and if you do, it changes everything. And Arkansas found it at the plate. They found it at the plate there for a little while. I mean, they were hitting everything. The ball looked like a big yellow softball to those hitters. Stovall, who's just unbelievable for a freshman, for any age, the kind of postseason that he had was incredible. So, yeah, I'm sure, look, I'm human. This time next year I could change my mind, or in the next few months I could change my mind. Yeah, I think Dave Van Horn will win it. I don't know. Right now, the last since Arkansas's elimination and since then, talking to more people, I'm just not sure he ever does. And I don't think that's necessarily a horrible thing. So I'll leave it at that. Let me read your comments. I'm not so sure what to expect here. The monsters will get you. Cheers, Ty. Congrats on your success, brother. I appreciate that, Blake. Thanks, man. What's wrong, Ty? COVID. No, I do not have COVID. No, I don't have COVID. My wife has COVID. She went on a conference thing for her job, and she came back, and we'll find out. I hear the average when one person gets it in the house, the spouse gets it 2 to 3 days later. So I don't know, man. Pray for me. I don't know. If Bianco can, Dave Van Horn can. Yeah. I'm telling you, you got to find it in Omaha. You got to find it in Omaha, and Dave just hasn't yet. He's gotten close. He got real close not that long ago against Oregon State. Is it Mike Martin? Okay, Mike Martin at Florida State. Is Dave Van Horn going to be like the old Florida State coach who we were just talking about, never won? It could be. He could be. And guess what? Florida State is still, even though they haven't been relevant since he retired, he retired, right? I mean, that's what you do when you've coached somewhere for 40 years or whatever it was. And look, and that there is some truth. Bianco, how long has he been at Ole Miss? And he finally won one. But I don't know, man. I kind of wonder if maybe it's just not Dave Van Horn's fault. Maybe we're just snake bit. Maybe we really did sell our souls for Nolan Richardson's success. I don't know. Maybe the program, Frank Broyles, someone sold their soul. They did a rain dance type thing out in front of the university somewhere in the middle of campus, and that was it. Like, all right, now great. Congrats on your back-to-back Final Fours, your national title. All those you're gonna get close, but you're not gonna win the whole thing. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I just think they're snake bit, man. Smash that like, fan. That's right, Blake. Tell them smash the like button. Hopefully they don't get Tony V, that classless punk. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole right now. I've probably already pissed a couple people off with one take. I don't want to piss them off with two. We have help on the way with recruits, upcoming class. We can get it done, hopefully next season. Yeah, Jeff, I hear you. It's, again, the portal, maybe we need to factor that in more with baseball. It obviously had a huge impact for Arkansas this year, a very positive impact. So maybe I need to consider that a little more. I don't know. I just feel like they have had some absolutely loaded rosters. And those teams not make it out of the Super, or those teams get eliminated kind of early in the College World Series. I again, there's something about when you get to Omaha, you just figure it out. Or in Ole Miss's situation, they figured it out in postseason play. And I maybe he just can't find that vein, right? He's trying to tap into that vein, and he just can't find it in Omaha. But one thing's for sure, he's still an elite coach, and Arkansas baseball is still one of the premier programs in college baseball. So that's not a slight on him at all. I don't want him to retire. I don't want him to quit or retire for Vitello at Tennessee, like we've had people claim. No, I want Dave here because the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And we found that out time after time here. I think we know that more than most. David Horn would have had a natty if 3 Razorback players didn't. I'm telling you, man, it goes back to the snake bit thing. Also, Ole Miss was preseason number 1. Right, but what matters is how you played during the season. And Ole Miss dropped. In fact, I think they even fell at top 25 for a little bit. Scratched their way back in, lost games they shouldn't have lost. Arkansas probably should have swept them. Arkansas was clearly a better team even when they were struggling than Ole Miss, and they weren't like blowouts or anything. What's her symptoms? Well, she's tested positive for it. She did the home test, and then she went, I don't know where the hell she went. She went somewhere, and they tested her, and it's a little bit more exact than the home testing, and she tested positive. She said right now she's fine. A little groggy, a little fatigued. That's really it. It's like a head cold. Bianco was on the hot seat. That's good motivation. And you're right. He was. You're not wrong about that. This is a guy that they wanted fired. You're not wrong. Ole Miss fans wanted him fired. They wanted him out. Oh, boy. How did that turn out, huh? Ty, do you think Treylon Burks will be the best rookie this year? Boy, that's a good one. I don't know what's going on with his asthma. This is weird because Arkansas football, or the entire athletic department, but mostly football, limits how much media has real access to the program. So I don't know if Burks' asthma problem has always been there. I don't ever seem to remember him taking a lot of time off during the season because of anything, obviously remotely related to asthma. I don't ever remember seeing him just completely fatigued. I don't know if his asthma has progressed. If it has, listen, I'm not a doctor. I don't know a damn thing about asthma. I don't know. Does it get worse? Does it get better? I'm sure there's medication stuff. I know there's the inhaler and all that. But Tennessee media figured something out a lot quicker than Arkansas media did, and that's not Arkansas media's fault. That's because of the limited amount of access. And there's also the possibility that his asthma got worse. If that's the case, that's going to have an impact on what he can do this year. But in that offense, where they don't really have a wide receiver 1, Woods is good. He was great for my Rams. I kind of hated to see him go, to be honest, because before he got injured with the Rams, I know they would, OBJ, they signed OBJ, and obviously the rest is history. Woods was pretty fantastic next to Cooper Kupp. But if anything, Woods should serve as the number 2, kind of the distractor for the secondary or whoever they're playing in the NFL, in their division, the AFC. Woods should be a pretty strong distractor. I mean, he is a veteran guy, fits their offense pretty well, but then here comes Burks, who could be potentially the best Razorback receiver we've ever had in the league. And we've not had a lot of good Razorback receivers. The guy that could have been the best didn't even play wide receiver at Arkansas. He was quarterback. He was Matt Jones. Go back and watch his rookie Jacksonville Jaguars film. It's ridiculous what Matt Jones could have been in the league. Just imagine if he had 3 or 4 years of learning the position, learning and understanding the routes and developing at that position what he could have really become. Oh, and if he had kicked the habit, I don't know, if he had avoided cocaine. Still my favorite Razorback of all time. Matt Jones is my favorite Razorback. And I know someone's going to throw out some old school names, but look, Treylon Burks really has the possibility of being the greatest Razorback receiver at that level. Jarius Wright is our most recent, and the guy was a number 2, number 3 option with the Vikings, the Panthers, never really blew up. So we'll see what he can do, but I absolutely think he could be at the top, assuming his asthma, if he gets it under control. Again, I don't know anything about asthma. I don't know how it I actually played football with a guy. He was our left tackle Justin Burley. He was a good friend of mine in high school. He had asthma. I remember he would do his bear crawls or his down and backs, and he'd have to suck on that inhaler, but he made it through. But you're also talking about a 15, 16-year-old kid versus, a guy in his 20s playing at a very high level. Are we expecting any commits soon? So, yeah. Let's get into that. Arkansas blew up this weekend. And I tried telling you guys this is going to be a good month. Otis Kirk told me first, and we talked about it over on Hogville Net. He called it. I said, I think I asked him a number, and he joked around and he said that could be 20. Well, the month of June so far has been pretty kind to Arkansas. Ian Jaffard on the 20th. I'm going to be completely out of I'm not going in any particular order. I'm just scrolling down here. Stephen Johnson, defensive lineman, who finally he picked up his 3 stars. Finally, 6'3", 330-pounder. I'm going to be honest. I have not talked with anybody about him. I don't know much other than the fact the guy is a monster at 6'3", 330 pounds. I'm not sure if he has any film, but I'm going to try and catch it. He's out of Fayetteville, Georgia. So that's 1, 2, 3. Alex Sanford is number 3, who committed yesterday. I'm going to get back to him in just a second because I got a lot to say about him. R.J. Johnson, 6'2", 180-pound athlete. Isaiah Augustive, however you pronounce his name, kid out of Florida, the kid with just absolute tree trunks for legs. I mean, this dude looks like an absolute beast. Christian Ford, 3-star safety out of McKinney, Texas. He committed back on the 19th. Was there not one more? So, again, what's our number at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going once, going twice, 6. Okay. I think the magic number will end up being 7 by the end of this month. We'll have to wait and see. I can't throw out exact names. Again, like I was telling you guys on Discord Live the other night, for the few of you that were there, it was really good. I hope you guys learned a little bit in that Discord Live. A few of you were in there. The magic number should be 7. I think that's kind of been the expectation since the beginning of June. These kids coming in for their officials. A guy they're fighting for is 4-star wide receiver, and I mean, right now he's definitely on your short list, but it's Micah Tease, Tease, T-E-A-S-E, out of Tulsa, out of Booker T. We know all about Booker T. Washington, man. We've had some success with that high school. We've had some straight-up ballers out of the Tulsa area, and, yeah, Booker T's been a part of that. This kid has a mountain of committable offers. How he's not a higher-rated prospect, I don't know. He's a track guy. He kind of reminds you a little bit. I don't think he's, I don't know. Based on his 100-meter relay numbers and everything, I think Isaiah Centenia, the 4-star number 1 player out of the state of Arkansas from last year's class, a little bit faster. But the little bit that I've gotten out of him and what I've seen out of him, this kid could be legit. Back in 2021, he ran 11:03 100-meter. And then his 200 meters, he ran a 23:07, for those of you who understand those numbers. He's a track guy. All these schools want this kid, big-time prospect. He has made, I think this is like his 3rd visit to Fayetteville. Now, with him being so close, an hour and a half away in Tulsa, that's not exactly shocking, but I think he likes Arkansas. But the expectation at the moment is that Oklahoma is in the lead, clearly, that Notre Dame and USC might be in the mix. He's got to be someone that Arkansas cannot let go of. So when you talk about receivers in this class, I got to pull up my 2023 list here that I have on our Discord that is open to the public, by the way. I've got it sorted by offense and defense. Here's what you've done so far. Malachi Singleton, not the only quarterback they're going to take at the moment. They could go portal, or they could take, if they can, I think they're trying to entice a couple of other prospects. But right now, he is not expected to be the only commit in this class. They could go portal, which means they could go for an older kid in the portal from anywhere in the country. Running backs, Isaiah Augustive from Naples, Florida. They're not taking any more running backs. That's it. Otis told us that last week on Hogville. You just got to listen to Otis. Otis is the man. The rumors about Luke Haas committing to Michigan were greatly exaggerated. He never went on that trip to Michigan. He never went on that OV. Doesn't mean that he won't. But it says on 247 that he did. I don't think as far as I know, he's not made any trips to Michigan. So Luke Haas is still very much four-star tight end out of Bixby, Oklahoma, still very much committed to Arkansas. I like him. Again, if you go back on that 2023 football, Hog Football Cruton page, I've got some little tidbits there on my favorite players I like committed in this class so far. I've got a little piece on him and Malachi. Shamar Easter, another four-star kid out of Ashdown, Arkansas. Jaden Ham, you're crushing it with tight ends. By the way, not all three of these tight ends in this 2023 class are going to play tight end. I think the odds are they're going to experiment with at least two of these guys playing at another position. Joey Sua, kid out of Bentonville. Luke Brown and Ian Jaffard are your current offensive linemen. I think of those three, the expectation is that that Joey is going to be your tackle of those three. Am I missing somebody? Did I not? Did they get another? Hold up. Hey. So I think okay, Joey Sua is probably, he's a mixed player on the line of scrimmage. Could play interior, he could play outside. I think he favors right tackle if that were to be his position. And then Luke Brown, kid out of Paris, Tennessee, probably going to be, I think he's a very underrated player. Luke Brown could be a stud at right tackle, and then Ian Jaffard out of Mableton, Georgia, could also play in a couple different positions, but I think he's eyeing tackle as well. On the defensive side of the ball, what they have right now, Quincy Rhodes out of Little Rock, I'm pretty high on him. They need an elite pass rusher on this defense. Maybe Quincy Rhodes could develop into that. I'm not saying he's going to be a guy who comes out the gate and absolutely, is a star from day one, but could develop into something special. Anyone I've talked to about him who's either watched him play in person or who have watched enough highlights, who know what they're talking about, whether they're media or not, believe he could be like that next, not saying he's Trey Flowers, but could be in that mix, somewhere in that, a guy that could produce some crazy good numbers. Stephen Johnson just got his stars again. I don't know a whole lot about him. Caleb James out of Mansfield, I'm big on him. Linebackers, you got to love what they're doing here. So let me circle back around to Alex Sanford. Remember a minute ago I told you I was going to talk about him? So you got Everett Roussel out of Georgia, Carson Dean out of Carrollton, Texas. Alex Sanford, this kid they just picked up out of Oxford. He has no love for Ole Miss. He has no love for either of the Mississippi schools. He's actually from, he's not from Ole Miss. He's from somewhere else. I forget. I think he just recently moved there within the last few years maybe, but he's not a native. He wasn't born there. When he committed, my first reaction was, wait a minute, like, whoa, you walked into this place and you grabbed him right out of Oxford. Big-time player. I put it out there publicly that Otis Kirk is pretty big on him, and he's not the only person I've talked to who loves this kid's film. Alex Sanford is a huge human being. 6 foot 3.5, like 240, moves well. Already one of my favorite players in this class. Again, and that's just assuming these guys sign, by the way. You still got to get them to sign. We still got a long ways to go until December/February. But Alex Sanford could be really special. Would not shock me to see him get a bump. I'm not saying he's going to be a 4-star, but at least get a rate or a number bump, right? Move up a little bit. But Sanford is a good get for Arkansas. I think not enough people are keeping an eye on him. I've seen his sophomore film, and like I say on the 2023 page in our Discord, he looks like a senior who's prepared to go play Power 5 football. As a sophomore, he could be really special. And then your secondary, I think they've done an okay job. I think they've swung and missed on a couple of cats. But Christian Ford, Dallas Young, I like Dallas Young. And then they just recently grabbed R.J. Johnson, who I believe is targeted to play in the secondary, but I could be wrong. So a couple of these guys I'm a little bit behind on, but I think RJ is expected to play in the secondary for Arkansas. So overall, I think this class has been pretty good so far. I do not like their odds right now finishing anywhere near the top 20. I know right now they're top 10 or whatever it is on 247. I don't know that they stick there for much longer. I know they're not. They're going to fall back eventually. They're just racking up some pretty good numbers. Now, with the rules that are coming into place, that's obviously something we have to, we'll cross that bridge once we get there. I think right now you're probably looking at about somewhere in the 30s, maybe a 32nd, 34th overall class. I could be wrong, but I said last year, and a couple of you took some shots at me and said I was, whatever. Oh, well, they're ranked here right now, Ty. There's no way they're dropping that far back. They did. They dropped quite a bit last year. Remember, they were top 10 going into the football season. I think they were top 15 in recruiting rankings. You have to wait until the dust settles, till that second week of February is done and over with. And I was right. I said they're going to drop, and they did. And I think that's probably going to be the case. They lost out on Connor Stroh. Not real thrilled about that. This is a kid that will probably get a bump in recruiting rankings, and not just because he recently committed to Texas, but Cody Kennedy was all over this kid. Cody Kennedy, I'll tell you right now, really high on Connor. And, look, there's all kinds of, because they took so-and-so. No, they actually took so-and-so because they swung and missed on Connor. I think it's it's not a massive miss, but this is a kid who could play anywhere on the offensive line. Big-bodied, 6'6", like 330, 340 pounds. Moves well, right? Great raw power, solid pass blocker, a guy who will, not to mention he plays in Texas, right? He's in Frisco. Playing at Wakeland. He's probably, when you catch enough eyes and you camp more and more and you get more and more positive reviews like he has, you're going to get a bump. So he'll probably end up being higher. I think 247 has him, oh man, don't quote me on this. I think they have him like right at like top 50, but I think he'll get a jump. But it's unfortunate. Connor Stroh would have been a great pickup for them. I'm here, Ty. I made it. Sorry I'm late. Don't ever apologize for being late. I'm happy you're here, my guy. What does everyone think of Archie Manning? I don't know, man. We'll just have to wait and see on that. What role is AJ Green going to play this year? Hopefully a lot. Hopefully a lot, man, because you never know. Dominic Johnson, who's trying to come back with the injury that he had, you hope that if he's not the guy, he didn't participate much in spring. You hope that AJ makes an impact one way or another, right? Is Pittman the best recruiting coach that we've ever had at Arkansas so far, better than Petrino? Boy, that's hard to say because, it's not like Petrino killed it on the recruiting trail either. I mean, he had you in the mix for the number one player in the country, Dorial Green-Beckham. I talk about that a lot because everyone and their cat who paid attention to recruiting back then, whether you were a part of media, I was not, obviously, or if you were on message boards, if you knew people that worked within the media, they were all saying he is a silent commit to Arkansas. The night before, he ends up picking Mizzou. Had some really, obviously some will say, well, he lucked out with the Warren bunch, right? And then Tyler Wilson and getting Ryan Mallett transferring from Michigan. And it worked out, and it helped boost recruiting. But he just wasn't – it's so hard to judge, right? He's a really good recruiter. I think he's probably going to go down something similar to – I hope he goes down something similar to a Houston Nutt, a guy who turns a 3-star into a potential first-round pick. Now Burks was – clearly should have been a 5-star out of high school. If you look at his immediate impact and how he was such an impact in the SEC as a wide receiver, his time here, should have been higher rated, right? I've got football fever. I think everybody does. Bert's first 2 classes and Chad's classes outdid Petrino. Yeah, Brett Bielema walking into Florida. It's hard to argue his first two classes, if I remember right, when you're grabbing guys like Denver Kirkland, Alex Collins, Skipper, who ended up being a longtime starter here, right? The list goes on and on. Like they developed some guys too, right? You saw a couple of his guys go to the league and have success. AJ Derby, he said all along we're going to end up the mood was he's going to end up back at tight end. He puts him back at tight end, and then then he ends up having a short career, but a career in the NFL. I mean, say what you want about Brett Bielema, but he didn't swing and miss on everything, and I think there were things that he did right, and those first couple of recruiting classes were outstanding. Sebastian Trutola, I mean, oh, you talk about Dixon Street getting you. That guy shot himself in the leg on Dixon Street. It'll get you. It will. Sam Pittman got most of Brett's recruits. Well, I don't know if that's – no, he got most of Chad's recruits. A lot of those were his guys, were Chad's guys. Treylon Burks was Chad Morris, right? Knox, his guy. Hudson Henry, although he's not done anything, but he was a 4-star prospect. But Pittman recruited Skipper. He did, but you always – the same thing we do with any coach, he is the head coach when he gets that prospect. Yes, Skipper, Frank Ragnow, if I remember right, like all those linemen were Sam Pittman's, absolutely. But the credit has to go to Brett, right, because he's the head coach. You still give credit to Pittman, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like what we do with the president of the United States, right? Someone in his cabinet messes up or whatever. It's always a reflection of the president. I'm not trying to get political. No comments on Brandon, please. But the head coach is always going to be the guy that you end up you look back at recruiting rankings and you say, oh, well, Houston not turned this guy into that or whatever. Let's see. Yes, he was the O-line coach. You're not wrong. Chad Morris did recruit KJ and Jalen Catalon. Jalen Catalon was his guy. Jalen Catalon, he walked, and I still remember this. He went down there, and he comes back, and I don't remember if he was quoted as saying this or if a media member had said they heard him say this, but that Catalon was the best defensive prospect he's ever watched, and I think he ended up being right. You can dislike a guy for the job that he did here, and I completely agree. I've said 150 times he was in over his head as a head coach, but I think he evaluated talent pretty well. I mean, I'll just say it. I thought his recruiting game, if you want to bring him here as a recruiting coordinator, give him a really crappy salary, I don't know that I'd be against it. I mean, you cannot overlook what that dude did as a recruiter. It was kind of insane. He'd walk into Texas and walk out. Of course, it's his relationship and the fact the guy was up until recently kind of a legend in that part of Texas. Not anymore. The SEC is killer. Arkansas had the 32nd class and almost the worst, but in the Big 12 it would be third. Yeah, it would be. Yeah. I mean, do you think Baylor or Oklahoma State would have even finished top 3 in the SEC East or West this year? Maybe Baylor would finish second in the West, maybe. Oklahoma State's defense this year was killer. I watched them a lot. They were great. But week-to-week grind in this conference, I don't know, man. Great recruiter, terrible head coach. Cheers to that. That was exactly it. He was an awful head coach. I mean, Chad Morris is the worst. Oh, Lord. No, sir. Maybe Baylor. Yeah. I thought Baylor was good. I mean, they're a really good team, but I don't know. I really don't know that either of those teams finished top 3 in the SEC East or West. I just don't. It's a lot easier to walk into that conference. You see the quick turnaround these other teams have, and if Texas is down, which they have been for how long, it kind of feels like there's not as many bumps on the road as there is in the SEC. It's a garbage conference, and it's not getting any better. You're not going to convince me of that. You're not going to convince me that these teams who have had recent success, that they're going to be able to sustain that while being in the Big 12. We'll see. Cincinnati, maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll see. We lost a great quarterback to Baylor. He got Morris. Okay. It's early, but how... I know it's early, but how about the quarterback recruits in Arkansas for the next few years? Yeah, Kane Archer, we got to watch, or I didn't get to watch him. Otis Kirk got to talk to, oh my gosh, kid out of Little Rock, Murphy, 6 foot, 190 pounds, Quentin Murphy, or Quincy Murphy. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. Kid dropped a 4.52 40 at 6 foot, 190 pounds for a quarterback. Don't know. Obviously, we don't know his biology. We don't know if he's going to grow to be 6'2", 6'3". Odds are, I mean, he's going into his sophomore year, I think, and then the year after him, you'll have Kane Archer. There's going to be 2 or 3, probably 4 stars, and maybe at least 1 5-star quarterback in the state of Arkansas in the next 3 years. Archer's recruiting has already blown up. It has since he was an 8th grader. We were supposed to see him that Saturday for that camp, and he ended up not being able to make it. I was really disappointed in that. I wanted to watch him throw the ball around. But Murphy is going to be special. Kane Archer is there's already a Mitch Mustaine effect happening with him, and maybe even sooner than Mitch. Of course, now with the way media is, social media, like Mitch Mustaine probably would have had a similar, like you would have heard about him coming up through 9th grade. You know, by the time he was a sophomore, everyone was talking about that kid at Springdale. Oh boy, we got a purple dog killer now, and that ended up being true. I don't think they ever lost to Fayetteville. The year they had Cedric Logan, did they lose? I don't remember. That's been a minute. That's before I met my wife. We've been married 16 years. We'll be celebrating 18 years of being together in December. God, I'm old. Shout out to Cole Kelly, FCS Heisman. Cole Kelly, man. Ended up being a lot better. Quentin Murphy, that's his name. Quentin Murphy, yeah. I did not get a chance to watch him throw the ball around, but Otis did get a chance to talk with him. That article is available for you on hogville.net. I think Step, Trailer, and Lunny had more to do with bringing in good players than chat. Listen, Michael, again, I hear what you're saying, but you have to give credit to the guy that hired them, right? I hear what you're saying. Those are all great recruiters. Obviously, Barry Lunny made bread off his recruiting. There's no doubt about that. And the development of the tight ends while he was here. I agree with you. But again, the credit always goes back to the head coach. If you've kept up for recruiting, and Mike, maybe you have longer than I have. I don't know. But the credit always, you'll tip of the cap to the guy responsible for bringing, right? But it always works out that way where you give credit to the school and to the head coach. I mean, anytime I've read an article, it always goes back to, well, you know, when Brett was here, he brought in this class or that class. The credit ends up going back to the head coach. But yes, and with the expansion of the way these recruiting sites work, we're starting to understand more and more about how involved those coaches are. And you also have to realize, too, no one coach recruits a player on their own. I can tell you that right now. That's coming straight from the source. No one coach, like Sam Pittman ultimately, is talking to every one of these prospects. There might be a couple that he's just like, they don't, but I don't think so. And Brett was the same way with recruiting. At the end of the day, Brett was even quoted as saying, if I hear about a player who, if I'm in a group text with them or their family, or if I'm with them in person, they disrespect their family, I'm going to pull an offer. And by the way, he did that. He did that on some pretty big prospects, actually. Kids you had a legitimate shot at. So that's why you always end up giving the credit. Listen, we can go, I mean, whatever. We can agree to disagree, but no one kid is just recruited by Sam Pittman when Brett was here. Brett was involved. You'll see their name on 247 or Rivals, who they're being recruited by. Make no mistake about it, that head coach is involved. Ty's the best. Smash that like, fam. Hey, I appreciate that. Blake, you're the man. How good is a recruiter, Deke Adams? Deke Adams, now I've only been around him once, and I don't know, he's been around for a minute. Players seem to really like him, and I saw him, so a kid was running his 40, and Deke got up, and listen, if any of you are parents and you have kids going to these camps, I actually have a friend of mine whose kid who played with J.J. Hollingsworth at Greenland. And this is something that I'm going to tell you, and I've only had one camp experience. A long time ago, I went to a 7-on-7 when I played at Fayetteville. I don't know why they had the centers go. That was still, what were we there for? Now I don't even think they used centers in 7-on-7s. But something you kind of learn there when they're looking at these players and evaluating, but that was so long ago, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But what I learned at this camp I went to with Otis, tell your kids this. Do not stop running. Run through your 40. Don't let up. There were several prospects, by the way, who were kids that could probably get offers. Maybe not from Arkansas, but from, Arkansas State, UCA, some smaller schools. They were letting up on their 40s. Otis Kirk and I talked about this. They were letting up before they ran at the end of their 40, and it cost them. It shaved time off their 40. So, but Coach, who were we just talking about? Taylor. He went and talked to a player. He went and kind of corralled him and said, "Listen, man," was kind of giving him advice. I didn't recognize the kid's name, but I thought that was really cool. Deke Adams. Sorry, I don't know why I said Taylor. It was Deke Adams, and he walked right up, kind of put his hand around the player, and he kind of talked to him for a minute. So tell your kids that if they're going to these camps and they're trying to get looks or they're getting advice from these coaches, just know, run through your 40. Don't let up. I'm sure Otis, I want to bring that up to him. I wonder how many players he's seen do that because he's been to so many camps. I got to see the Springdale 5 their junior and senior years. No in-state schools wanted to play them, non-con so much. I went to several games of the Springdale 5. I worked with a guy that was teammates with those guys. He was a defensive lineman for them. Really, really good guy. Jason. I won't say his last name, but he played with the Springdale 5. He was a good dude. Worked with him at Sam's Club. But we obviously at the time had differing opinions on how all that went down. That was still so just disappointing. But yeah, the Springdale 5 was I've never seen an offense operate that way. It was just incredible. It was some great high school football. DJ Lagway would be the perfect quarterback for us in the class of 2024. I don't see him coming here. Ty Jaffard got recruited to be a defensive tackle, right? Actually, you might be right about that. One of those kids did get flipped. One of those kids is actually going to play defensive line. And it might be Jaffard. He might end up playing D tackle. But Luke Brown is the kid in that class that I really think is undervalued. I don't know if he's a 4-star anywhere. I think he's a 3-star in 247. But Jaffard is a pretty good offensive lineman. In fact, he has a couple of really good offers on the table that I believe are committable from P5 schools that are to play offensive linemen. I think the belief is right now he's going to end up playing defensive line, but could be one of those guys they flip back and forth. But he could play anywhere on the offensive line. I think the idea was – I don't remember who the other school was that offered him, but I think the idea was he could play either side of the ball. Could be something, too, where he shows up to camp, they try him in a couple of places, and they move him back and forth. He's a solid athlete. He's a solid line of scrimmage athlete. Moves really well for someone that size, by the way. And there's a couple other guys that could play on either side of the ball. And was it Sanford? No. There's another kid that plays. Maybe it was Sanford who plays tight end. I have it listed somewhere on that 23 page. Let's see. Sanford, big physical linebacker. Otis Kirk thinks very highly of. Blah 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 blah. Heat-seeking missile. No, it's not him. Quincy Rhodes. Yeah. Quincy Rhodes, athletic enough to play both sides of the ball. Good burst off line of scrimmage. Told he always knows where the ball's at. Yeah, he plays a little bit of offense. He plays tight end as well. Don't think he plays that here though. But there's footage of him playing tight end. He just runs a fade right out of the tight end spot, and he's quarterback gets in the ball and he just burns everybody on the field. Of course, I don't think they expected him to catch the ball. Who has the best future of the big-time Arkansas sports? Baseball, or college football? Basketball. I would say basketball just because, Muss just got here not that long ago, and you've already had back-to-back Elite Eights with this class coming in. I mean, the sky is the limit for the basketball team. I couldn't tell you, like football, for Arkansas, the future's bright. Recruiting wise, I don't know. Like, look, they've got some dogs in this class right now. It's a top 10 class, right? Not going to stay that way. They're going to fall. They have 17 commits, but it doesn't feel like a top heavy class. But it does kind of feel like a top heavy class. If you get my gist of what I'm saying, like there's some players in this class. Malachi Singleton, I am so big on this kid. 6'1", 225. Watch his film. He's thick from the waist down. He moves like a running back. Now KJ runs more like a linebacker after he's picked the ball off. He's just going to run through you. If he can get around you, he will. He's not going to really juke you. He's just going to run through you. Not extremely agile, but extremely athletic, right? Not someone who you're going to hit the circle button on and he's going to spin around a bunch of guys. That's not what he is. That's what Malik Hornsby's supposed to be like, but we haven't really seen that out of him either. But Singleton is ahead. I mean, again, it just kind of depends on who you talk to, but he's ahead of where KJ or Hornsby, where they are at that age coming up through high school. And I don't know that he's 6'1". There's this debate about how big is he really? Is he really 6 foot? Is he really 6'2"? I don't know. I've not walked by him. I've not stood next to him. I tell you what, I stood next to Trey Knox at that camp, and that dude looks huge. That dude's arms. He's going to be a beast. I really cannot wait to see what he looks like this year for Arkansas. But Singleton is someone I'm very high on. Luke Haas is someone I'm really high on. A little smaller. I like those tight ends. 6'5", 6'4.5", 6'5", 240. Maybe they don't jaw drop on the 40 times, but they've got large catch radiuses. He's a little his ability to turn around and adjust to the ball while it's in air makes him look like his catch radius is a lot larger than it is. He doesn't have like long arms. He's not got a big body. He's not going to scoop the ball up with two defenders, but he's great with 50-50 jump balls. Looks like a pretty clean, he kind of looks like a wide receiver when you watch him play, but he's also sluggish because he's legit 225, 230. I've heard the 220 weight estimate is a little behind. He's actually closer to, I think, to 225, 228. He looks the part. You look at the other tight ends committed, they're both 6'5" or taller. Luke is a little smaller, yet of the three, you might consider him one of the top tight ends in this entire class. And, I think right now he's top 5 of all the tight ends out of Bixby. So you've got a mix here with this class. Do I think it's going to go down as one of their best classes? We still got a long ways to go at the current moment based on what I know who's going to commit. It's going to be a top-heavy class. You're not going to end up with 12 4-stars in this class, but every class at Arkansas is top-heavy. Let's just be honest. Every class is top-heavy. They don't sign top 15 classes. They sign 25th, maybe a 20th, 30th. And so, therefore, when you look down that roster, or look down that list of players, it's a little top-heavy. But that doesn't mean the guys down below, the 3 stars or the guys that you don't know much about, that they're not that. Like Dallas Young is a really good example. I've heard just great things about Dallas. Tall, lengthy, 6'1", 6'2", 185-pound corner out of Gardendale, Alabama. People are just in love with him. Quincy Rhodes, who's not a unanimous 4-star. I'm really big on him. Caleb James, 6'4", 250, 255. Looks like he's just got it all. I think the thing that's being held against him maybe his stats aren't enough. Maybe he hasn't camped enough. Maybe he had a bad day at a camp. I don't know, but I believe he was once a former 4-star, right? And the other kids I just don't know a ton about. I'm not going to sit here and trash talk them. I like Isaiah, that running back out of Florida. Again, 6'2". He looks like he's 220. If you look at the guy's freaking legs are, like tree trunks. There's some really good meat in the middle of this class, just like last year's, just like the year before that. And you're seeing it on paper and you're seeing it on the field. They really could have been a 10-win team this last year. Do you think Auburn was really better than Arkansas? No. Ole Miss, it's debatable. I think it's a coin flip. Obviously, Ole Miss looks a little bit better on paper. Their offense was explosive and all this, but When Arkansas was fully healthy and Ole Miss was fully healthy, give me Arkansas, Chuck. I mean, call me biased. I don't give a damn. I thought they were a better team. I think they should have beat Ole Miss. You saw what that score came down to. You saw the bogus fake injuries and the crap they have to do to win games. Take that out. Take that out of the game. I think you have a different outcome. I really do. And I don't think they win as many games as they did last year. Although their offense was great. It really was. Their defense almost all year trash. No bueno. Yeah, Walker White. Walker White's another name to get to know. Yeah, Walker could be pretty special. His brother plays here. A little bit different than the Allens because both Brandon and Austin were had P5 offers. Both played the same position. Once one left, the guy. But I get what you're saying though. That family connection. Keep an eye on him for sure. How much weight did not? I don't know what he's at right now. I want to say he's at 245 maybe. He looked. If you would have told me he was 260, I would have believed it. Seeing him in person, and he is every bit. I would argue he is definitely a short 6'5", tall 6'4". He's a big dude, man. Are we a football school though? If we're going off how good we are year in year, no, you're a baseball school. I mean, the passion is there for baseball. I mean, the capacity to that stadium, which holds, 13,000? You lead your top 5 like every year in stadium capacity, in attendance. Yeah, you're a baseball school. Arkansas is a baseball school who has an obsession with football. And there was a time when the belief was you're a basketball school. I mean, there really was in the mid-late 90s. Oh, you're a basketball school. That's what you are. Oh, that's right. John David did transfer. You're right about that. I forget he hit the portal. Yeah. John David did. I hate that, too, because he had a real strong spring camp last year. Yo, I made it. I've had you on while I was prepping dinner, my dude. There's the tweet. Okay, appreciate it, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing the content, John. You know I appreciate it. I don't know how many commits they end up with, Swaggy. I could tell you 25, but I don't know what that number is right now. Again, I think it's probably going to end up being unless some guys get some necessary bumps, and depending on what recruiting site you follow, I'm going to say 247 is where I'm at. I think they finish on 247 probably somewhere between 30th and maybe 40th, somewhere, or 30 to 35th, somewhere in there. It could change. That could change within the next couple of weeks. And by the way, you're still expected to flip some guys with several stars next to their names. Surprised no one's asked me about the kid that just took the official down to Miami, but there's still some possibilities left in this 2023 class to add some 4 stars. But the one that's kind of stood out, he recently took a visit to Miami, was Jalen Braxton, who's committed to Michigan State. It's been rumored for about a week now that he decommitted. Miami fans are saying he decommitted while on his visit to Miami, and so I immediately, when I saw this, reached out to a couple of people who might help me out in that category or in that particular area with that school. None of them think he goes to Miami. I'm still a pretty hard lean to Jalen Braxton to Arkansas right now. The belief was we could know something sooner than later. I don't know now about his announcement. I don't think he's gone public about when he's going to announce. I still lean very heavily towards Braxton coming to Arkansas. I'll just say that. Like I said, they got Tease back on campus. I don't know that he ends up coming here. I think he's probably still an OU lock. I don't have any updates there other than he was here again. Another name to keep an eye on is Paris Patterson, the 6'6", 345-pound Goliath. Don't know much about him. All I know is Cody Kennedy's recruited him for a while. I mean, big dude, 345 pounds. That's a Goliath right there. I don't know how committable they are at the moment, but Iowa State, LSU, and among others have offers on the table, but I don't know if they're committable. He is a 3-star, but he's a name to keep an eye on. Again, that's Paris Patterson. So keep an eye on him. So, yeah. Again, I think the status of this class is good. It's a healthy class. It's one that you feel pretty strong about. That it's a good class. Is it a top 8 SEC class at the moment? It's nowhere near that. It's probably okay. Let me take that back. At the moment, it is because of where they're ranked at. But if where I feel like they're going to end up with the amount of prospects or the amount of kids they take versus what some of these other schools are still waiting on, when the dust settles, no, I don't think it ends up being a top 8 class in the SEC. Probably looking at about, 10th, maybe 11th, somewhere in there, maybe 12th. You guys know Arkansas, it's not easy to recruit here. It's not. It is really hard for Arkansas to bust into the top 10 in recruiting. It's not something – the expectation here is not to do that very often here. But on the flip side of that, they're bringing in guys that are kind of diamonds in the rough a little bit. I think you're going to see some of those guys from the last couple of years that have been recruited by Pittman. You're going to hear more and more about them. You're going to see some of these guys break through, if not this year, maybe next year. But no way we finish outside the 20s. Yeah, I think you do, Swaggy. Don't look at where you're at right now. Think about where you're going to be in February. Now, it also depends on, again, boosters, right, or boosted rankings. We'll see if some guys camp really well and, they change the minds of some of these analysts. We'll see. We'll see if they can flip anybody. Again, you've got a 4-star that I think is going to commit to Arkansas here really soon. So that'll be nice. That'll be a good flip. And you've got a couple other guys that are possible. Like I've said, there's at least 2 other 3-stars that could end up by the time December rolls around where they have another star next to their name, if you're into that sort of thing, right? If that's all you care about, right? But you can't escape the reality that it's still really challenging to have these top 20 classes at Arkansas. But if there's anyone that can do it, it's certainly Sam Pittman. This staff, I can't wait to get around them more. Like, you learn things that you wouldn't imagine, right? Actually being there with the hood popped up and talking shop with some of these guys is fascinating, and kind of what you hear. It's interesting. A lot of these kids, listen, you've got a couple of projects in this class. You absolutely do. You've got maybe 3 or 4 projects. Guys, you're not sure what they do when they get here, but that's the case every year. A lot of schools could say that. Let's see. Off topic, but I'm ready for the Maui invitation. Yeah. Matchups to be released. We should expect them in a week or so. Yeah, I think that, you should hear that in July. I think that's what I heard. 28th last year with 7 4-stars. We already have 5 this class, so I think we can finish in the 20s. We'll see. I think things are starting to iron out a little bit post-COVID. Some of these schools are going to iron out how many kids they can bring in and what have you. Of course, you've got some rule changes there as well. Anything could happen. I would guess right now somewhere between 30 and 35th. There's a couple other prospects I think they're in on. If they can get these kids to commit, it's going to be a huge boost. And then I'll change my guess. Right now, today, or as of when I wrote that little piece or updated our 2023 recruiting page, I had Arkansas at I think I said 30 to 35th. In the next few weeks, the next couple of months, if they can convince these kids to flip or to commit to Arkansas, I'll probably change that, right? But right now, as of this week, I think they probably finish around 30, 35th. It's not, 26th, 27th, maybe, sure. But I'd say right now around 30th. I don't know. Let me get that XP when we fit. Do you go by Swaggy in our Discord? Who are you in our Discord? When we finish top 25. Listen, Swaggy, do you know how many people told me that last year? We're going to fit, actually the last several years, we're going to finish top 15. I was like, no, I don't think so. Do you know how many times I'm in this situation where I'm telling somebody I don't think so and I end up being right? I'm just warning you. How about if I'm right, I take away XP from you in our Discord? You want to do that? I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. Did we already talk about the basketball commit blocker? No, we didn't. They did get, blocker. I hadn't even forgot all about. Yeah, good. Good pickup for Arkansas. We'll see where that class goes too. There's a lot to keep an eye on there. I'm fascinated to see if he can come close to what he did with this last class. I think he can because he just does it all, right? Swaggy hog, but I never talk in there. Well, see, I mean, you would have so much more XP if you talked. Yeah, Layden blocker, right? Yeah, there you go. Scott's got me bailed out. Yeah. As a fan who doesn't have time to invest in the rankings, are you talking about recruiting? What are you talking about? As a fan who doesn't have time to invest in the rankings, WSLS, and the effort over the season is what matters. Obviously, rankings have a purpose, though. Well, yeah, they absolutely do, right? Because the same teams that win 10, 11 games every year, or the teams are in the conversation to be in the playoffs, or back in the day when it was BCS polls, what do? What do they all usually have in common? They're top 5, top 10 recruiting. And you've also got these programs. Clemson for years was a top 10 recruiting every year, and they couldn't do it. They were winning 7, 8 games. And then Dabo Swinney makes a couple of moves, and then they win some national titles. Miami is another one that comes to mind. Texas A&M. Texas A&M recruits really well, top 10, and they struggle winning 10 games in this conference. But the correlation between the teams that constantly that we're talking about as playoff contenders, it's Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. What do they all have in common? They recruit. So I think stars do matter, but they're not all that matters. Didn't Chad Morris have a top 20? I think Chad's, was it his second class that finished like 20th or 19th? He had one class that did finish really well. Hang on, let me answer this DM really quick. This is semi-important. Hang on. Okay. That was an email, someone wanting to ask about sponsorship. Okay. Yeah. So, hang on, let me read the next question. Yeah, you got to talk, Swaggy. If you want some XP, my guy, in Discord, you got to talk more. I think we add Ron Holland. Yeah. Oh, basketball's going to be insane. Oh, my God. Oh, man, living the dream of basketball recruiting right now. Yeah, he's a big-time prospect. Don't remind me. He's out of somewhere in Texas. Hang on. Someone bail me out. I could just look him up, but I'm not going to. Somewhere in Texas. Not Abilene. Where the hell is he from in Texas? Someone bail me out. But yeah, big time 5-star prospect. 6'8", 6'9", 6'8", big kid. It all comes down to coaching in a highly ranked or low ranked class. Look at Boise State. Yeah, Boise State's a good example. So is, you've had several of those small schools have some success with 2 and no star ranked players, or low 3, 2-star. Utah State, Boise State, Central Florida, right? Didn't Troy have recent success last 2-3 years? You get those schools that just, coaching absolutely matters, and that's why those guys, they don't last very long at those smaller schools. I thought he was from Memphis. Is he from Memphis? No, he's from Texas. Duncanville. That's it. Duncanville. That's where he's from. Thank you. You bailed me out. Elvin, you're the man. Yeah. He was Anthony Black's teammate. You're right. Will Lennox. Yeah, they were high school teammates. Duncanville. I don't know why. I think they're sitting pretty with him too. I think he's. I think right now they're in really good shape. He's highly rated, top player in the state of Texas. Why I could remember it was Texas. I just couldn't remember where. All right, we're at an hour 15. So let me just give you guys an update for those of you who were not here at the beginning. We do have COVID in our house. I will not be able to participate for anything this week. I'm going to have to quarantine. I don't have it yet. It's going to make things complicated. My wife will be working out of this room, and obviously this is my streaming room unless I'm doing Discord lives, which then I use my laptop. I go in the garage, I smoke a cigar. I might be able to do some of those. I don't plan on this being my last stream for the week. I'm hoping I can get back in here at least one more time. I've also got to get some content out for Hogville Net. Again, if you're not subscribed over there, please do so. We've got content on the way over there as well. I've just got to get it all mapped out and find time to come in here and be able to do that, which is going to be a struggle. Again, my wife's going to be working out of here. We're all quarantined for, I think it's 7 days. So that sucks. My kids are having to miss camp. They've been looking forward to this since they heard they were going. Unfortunately, they're going to have to quarantine. They're going to have to miss the entire 2-week day camp, which sucks. They do get to go to overnight camp, which is at the end of July, so they'll be excited about that. But July will be a crazy month for me as well. We've got trips planned. We're going to Silver Dollar City. We're going to St. Louis. And then when August kicks on, we're going back to scheduled shows. We're probably going to go to 12 o'clock shows. We're going to go from, remember we did 11 last year. We're going to go to 12 o'clock shows. I think that's the plan. It's either I'm going to go later or I'm going to go earlier. I could go to 10 a.m., but I may do 12. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But the plan is there to do live shows. Now, post-game shows are going to change. I don't think I'm going to be doing post-game shows here. I'll be doing those more than likely on Hogville Net. So, again, make sure you're subbed over there. Hogville is as much a part of me as this is. So, if you guys listen, you love your boy, you love the content, and you guys know how much fire those post games are, get on over to Hogville. Make sure you're subbed. We're going to be doing those post games, I think, more than likely over there. And that's, I don't know about basketball because Kevin McPherson does basketball. I'm not sure what that looks like. But right now it looks like football. I'll be doing post games on Hogville Net YouTube. So make sure you're subbed over there and all that. Make sure you hit the alarm, the notification alert over there and everything. So, dude, you're in hell. COVID hell. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm locked up, which sucks, but it is what it is. Oh well. 12 better for me. Get Rob watch on lunch break. What's your thoughts on the blocker? Yeah, like I said, that's big. That was a big commit. They're in on several other big time prospects. Someone just mentioned, we talked about Ron Holland, 5-star. I got him pulled up here now. 6'8". I said 6'7", 6'8". 6'8", 195, part of the 2023 class. Anthony Black's former teammate. My guess is it'll probably come down between us, Kentucky, and Texas. We'll see if they can pick him up. It'd be a great pickup for them. Has good length. I think he's kind of noted as a great defensive player. We know how Muss feels about that. Guys that could play on both ends of the floor, and I think Blocker's going to be one of those. Take it easy, Ty. I might have to speak in Discord tonight. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're going to have to get that XP up. Okay. Yeah, so there's your updates for the channel. Again, I'm going to try like hell to get you guys some more content here. But listen, if I don't, it may not, or if I do, it may not be till Friday. Just bear with me. We're going to be sharing the office space in here. So, yeah. But thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys want to be a Patreon, Tuss Talk with Ty Patreon supporter, I don't know why I'm sharing my screen. There you go. There's the list. If you want to be added to this list, go subscribe, go join, go be a part of that. So yeah, it's coming up, man. June's almost done with. So you got a little window of opportunity there if you want to join the month of June Patreon. So, all right. Woo pig, and I'll see you guys when I see you, hopefully sooner than later. Go Hogs.